Good evening, Myra. Welcome to Coffee Talk. Uncle Al, Die Bullfrog 79, KP Heathen, my friend, from Louisiana. Welcome. Uncle Al, I just got through watching a video that you did. It was very good. I left comments on several of the things that you said. I really enjoyed it. You did it I guess it was one you released a couple of days ago. Buying space, I watched 3 of your videos this morning. Well, actually, I listened to them. I had them playing while I was doing paperwork. And I have been trying to hit that button at the end that said that timestamps how much time I watched, but for whatever reason, like it went into the next video. So if you try to go back and I hit a timestamp, it'll be like 10 seconds or whatever. It doesn't show that I watched the full video, but I had, or at least I had played the full video and I've been listening to it. So I apologize for that. Uncle Al, I hope you're doing well. I appreciate your content as always. I appreciate your mentoring as always. You give good advice. KP, I have been watching some of your stuff, and when I do leave a comment. You're really good at prepping food. I mean, very tasty stuff. Some of your Cajun food with the sausage in it. I really enjoy that. Appreciate your content. Belinda's Country Living. How are you doing, young lady? Haven't. Truthfully speaking, I haven't been over to your channel recently. I need to. You put out really good content, and I appreciate you coming in to my channel. And at some point, I will be probably sending you a box. Utah Mike, how's it going up in Utah? How is the weather? Wish you could get some water over to Uncle Al. If anybody watched my little 4-minute blurb on my take on the news, talked about the Palisades burning right there at Los Angeles, 3rd largest city in the United States. And they're having some serious problems with 5 different wildfires. They've had about a dozen people so far that have, God forbid that it happened, but God bless them and their families. A dozen people have died so far. And I forget how many structures have burned. I mean, and there have been some mansions that have burned. So a big stink going on with that. Holly Ivans. Hello, Holly Ivans. Welcome, young lady. And 6 in the house, 6 likes. Appreciate you guys coming in. So I had said that I would be periodically putting out a Coffee Talk News. Today's was the second one I did. This is the 12th. I did one a week or so back, another one. And I will periodically, when I feel like doing my take on the news, I'll do a little short 3, 4, 5-minute news clip. I don't put intakes. I don't put outtakes. I just basically talk about, what I'm thinking about it. This morning, as I was looking, watching and listening to different clips and different news programs, I wrote a few notes down. I just wrote down, talk about this, talk about that. And then I also will include information that's not in the clip that, my knowledge of things. Like the fact of the matter is, you hear them talk about Mama 4 Boys. Hello, Mama 4 Boys. Thank you for coming in. You hear them talk about the size of Greenland as far as the population of Greenland. They talk about Greenland's prime minister. Like Greenland has a prime minister. And you think, well, that's a big country. Well, size-wise, it's a huge country. There's a lot of land. There's a lot of ice up there. but population-wise, it's like a small city. So, you're talking about, I heard them say something about 45,000. I've been quoting 60,000. Where I live, Victoria, Texas, has a population of about a little over 60,000. So the way I equate their prime minister as being like the mayor of a city. And I equate their parliament as being like a city council, because you're talking about a population of about under 50,000, like 45, 46,000 people in the whole country. Yeah, the Pacific Palisades gone. Yep. And they're having problems with water. They don't have water pressure in their mains, their hydrants, their mains, where they would go to hook in, and the where I live, the fire department, part of what they do is they periodically go around and test their mains. They'll hook up to it and blast water out of it, making sure it's not clogged. And then they go around and they paint the hydrants periodically. That's part of what they do for, maintenance. And can you imagine going and hooking in a fire hose into a main to try to fight a fire that's nearby, and there's no water pressure? Yeah, I also hear that Hunter Biden's the home that Hunter Biden was renting. I guess he was renting or leasing a home out there. His home burned down, the one he was leasing or renting. Breaks my heart. Hunter Biden's home, burned down. Yeah. Well, Anthony Hopkins is a great actor. Great actor. If I name 5 or 6 actors that I really think highly of, I think about, and Western genre, I'm a real big John Wayne fan. I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan. Anthony Hopkins, great movies. And I could name a few more. I love Donald Sutherland. Really good actors. And then I will also say that I'm pre-retirement days. Hello, pre-retirement days. How are you doing? I'm not happy with some of the politics that they talk about. Like, to me, you're an actor, or you're you do music. People go to a concert. They're going for the entertainment value. They don't want to hear you do a political rant because you don't like somebody. They're not paying for that political rant. They're paying to hear the music, and oftentimes it's like the tours that they're doing. Their music is 30 years old, 35 years old, like back in the days. When people, when their fans were younger, the fans age with them, and they're doing like a reunion tour, or they're doing a tour prior to retiring, or they're doing tours and such, and then they want to come on for 15 minutes and talk BS about they don't like what's going on, because of whoever. Don't really want to hear that. Little Lone Prepper. Hello, Little Lone Prepper. Thank you for coming in. 9 in the house, 9 likes. Please leave a like to support the channel. So somebody told me that they had received a content warning about misinformation on my video that I released today, my take on the news. And everything that I said in that was something that I got off of the news. The only thing that the only things that I didn't get off of the news today was the fact that Greenland has a population of under 60,000, and my comment that the prime minister and the parliament would be the equivalent of the mayor of a city and the city council. Now, maybe that's considered in poor taste, but I mean, size-wise, that's what it is. You're talking about 45,000 people. So for whatever reason, I'm told that they put a warning on my content. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's horrible, Mel Gibson. He's one of my favorites too, Mel Gibson. They're making a sequel to the Passion of the Christ, supposedly, and I look forward to that. I look forward to it. Well, yeah, the ones that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, yeah, they've got houses all over the place. I used to live in Corpus Christi, Texas, which is a couple hours south of me, and it right now has a population of about 320,000, and it's got a lot of beaches, and it's got marinas, and there are several well-known actors, movie stars, what you call them, and country music stars that I'm aware of that have homes down there. They're not there very often, but they own a home. They got a boat ramp, and they got, and they can go out, and they own a home. Like Johnny Depp owns, now I don't know if he still does, but he did. He had a property there. And then trying to think of some of the country music singers that I'd heard had property, out on the water. And some of these people, like, they've got multiple, so like they might be here during the summertime. They go and spend a couple of weeks, here, there. It's like, these snowbirds that they during the summer they're up north, and then when it gets real cold, they're in their RVs, or they rent property, and they're down, down South Texas or in South Florida, or there's some place where the weather's a lot warmer. Melinda Elliott, welcome, Melinda Elliott. Thank you for coming. And and I'd like to apologize not getting content out, not doing the live streams. I get up in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm at work, 6:30, 6:45. I get out 4:30, 4:15, most of the time 4:30, sometimes 5 o'clock. Wednesdays, 5 o'clock. It's because we have staff meetings. And sometimes I'm just tired. Sometimes something's going on. My kid's visiting. Like my daughter was here this evening. But I had said I was going to do a live stream, and she's with mom, and she's getting ready to leave. She's been here for a couple hours, getting ready to leave. So, I mean, I'd already kissed the head, kissed the cheek, goodbye. But, you have priorities. Family comes first. Sometimes I'm just tired. And I don't want to do a live stream when I'm tired, where I'm not going to put out anything. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to be able to respond. I just don't have the energy level. I did not work today. I worked at the house. I was working all morning long. I was working on paperwork, and but I really need to do a better job of putting out my content. I've got tons of stuff that I could upload for shorts. I don't, I don't do this where I put out, 6 or 7 shorts in a day. I don't do that. Once in a while, I'll put out 3. I usually put out 1 or 2, and I don't put out a lot of videos. Second video in maybe the last 10 days that I put out, and both of them were those Taco Talk news. I am going to be doing another box. Got all the stuff for it. I need to do a box for Devil Dog Prepper, which I'll put together and I'll video it, and I'll get it sent to him hopefully this week. And then I'll be putting out one for Buying Space, Myra, and she'll be the next one I'll do. So, it's just, if I were Santa, people would, finally 2 years later, I got my gift, type thing, Santa got around to doing the gift. I don't. I do it when I feel like it. I do it when I have the energy to do it and such. So there are times when I'll put out 2 or 3, and there are times when I barely get out 1 in a period of a month, Part-time planting. Hello, part-time planting. Thank you for coming. Please leave a like to support the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. So, and I will tell you, yeah, coffee's good. Coffee's good. I've had 2 or 3 cups today. Usually first thing in the morning I have coffee. I had a coffee this afternoon. For supper I had some Popeye's chicken the wife brought, and had a Coke with it. I probably won't have anything else before I go to bed tonight. I had a nice salad for lunch that I bought over at HEB with vinaigrette. I had 1 taco for breakfast this morning, a sausage and egg taco with a cup of coffee. So I think I probably have had 3 cups of coffee today. Had a cup of tea. Basically the Great Value tea. It's half tea, half lemonade. That's good. Buy that by the gallon. And yeah, the weather. Yeah, that's good. Morning coffee and evening coffee. I used to drink hot herbal tea in the evening, and I'd put honey in it. It would be the herbal, the non-caffeinated tea before I go to bed at night. And I've got tons of it, but I haven't been drinking it. I don't like to drink decaf coffee. But I have been trying to eat oatmeal, so I'll eat a couple of packs of instant oatmeal for breakfast. A lot of times, I'm trying to get the overflow under control. Funny thing, I have normal, my legs, my arms, my back. I don't have any, blubber anywhere. I just have the dad stomach bod. I just have the dad stomach. That's where my overweight is at. It's all located in the dad stomach. And I learned in the last week or so what a chubby chaser was, and that's a woman who likes a man with a dad bod. I get all these shorts that I roll through. Sometimes I watch them. You get an attractive woman, 30, 35, 40 years old, and she talks about what she does, and she likes she likes chubby chasers, or that she's a chubby chaser. So I found out what a chubby chaser was. I learn stuff all the time. One of the things that I did not talk about in my news today that I would like to mention is the fact that On the 19th, TikTok will be blocked or will not be allowed to continue in the U.S. market. And the Supreme Court did not or denied TikTok's claim of freedom of speech. It's funny that a CCP owned TikTok is talking about freedom of speech when you have these sources that block free speech and that claim that the truth is misinformation. You know, like my content getting a warning. Somebody receives a warning or receives a notification. You know that my content is suspect or that that I'm putting out misinformation. And I get stuff that I put forth or put back basically from the news. And some of it's from like CNN. I mean, I do watch some clips from CNN. I do watch some clips from MSNBC occasionally. I watch more Fox. I watch more News Nation, certain more conservative, Megyn Kelly, Bill O'Reilly. I'm more into the conservative Tucker Carlson. I'm more into conservative. That's what I basically go for. I listen to a lot of what Elon Musk says. Elon Musk is the richest man in the country, possibly on the planet. He does a lot of good, and he says some really good stuff. I could repeat some of the stuff that he puts out that they would probably want to give me a strike for. And I honestly believe it's absolute truth. Ten in the house, 11 likes. If you have not had the opportunity, yes, CNN and MSNBC are the worst news. Yes, they are. Oftentimes, the stuff that I listen to from them is somebody else is putting up clips of stuff that they say. A lot of it is very negative stuff that they say. So when I say I watch clips that have MSNBC or CNN, that's what I'm basically referring to. I don't, I'm not subscribed to MSNBC. I'm not subscribed to CNN. I basically get them when somebody else is basically putting up stuff that they said. Somebody, their take on something other. Once in a while, they have a positive take, to me a truthful take. Most of the time, it's BS. And I know that both of them are really suffering. And Musk is talking about buying MSNBC. Can you imagine if Elon Musk bought MSNBC? He would probably do to it what he did to Twitter. 12 in the house. I will also tell you that a lot of money is leaving California. A lot of people are leaving California. The population, and a lot of the, so Elon Musk, who, he Twitter X, SpaceX, Starlink, his car company. You hardly hear about the Boring Company, the underground tunneling. I've heard stuff about what's going on with that. But Idaho Garden Girl, Please leave a like to support the channel. It will be greatly appreciated. As you come in, please leave a like. You know, the take that I get about the border, the take that I get about the problem with the illegal aliens coming over, it's going to take forever to put a wall along the entirety of the southern border. The southern border is over 2,000 miles. Over 2,000 miles. And when they're building, they're somewhere along they're somewhere along the border building. Like, there are 3 or 4 places that the state of Texas is building border wall on the border. The state's spending a lot of money building border wall and National Guard trying to secure the Texas part of the border places, and where they're choke points, where they're trying to keep illegals from coming over. One of the things I got on the news is that it's about $25 million a mile. So you build a mile's worth of border wall the way they're building it, with the 32-foot high steel ballards that they're using, and the concrete that they do where they put it into the ground, which is supposed to be good for 50 years or whatever. They can build about a half a mile a week. So they're building a couple of miles a week of border, because there's like 3 or 4 locations where they're building. Each of those locations, it takes about a week to do half a mile. And they're working in 3 or 4 different locations. So they're doing maybe a couple of miles a week of border wall. And then there are places where they're going to have difficulty trying to put, because people don't want to let them use the land. They don't want to give up access to the land. And they're fighting them on the land. That's a problem. Where they have to basically go to court to try to get access to be able to build wall. And then you've got, these liberal organizations that are doing everything they can to throw up roadblocks. That's a big problem. Enrique Trevino. And they are using Constantina wire. There are places where they've been using There was a big fight with the feds and the state over, they were cutting Constantina wire that the state had put up to let them through. There are locations where they've got to have access to get through. That the government has to have access to get through. So there are locations where they've got gates. Like when Trump was in office, or when Obama was in office, or whatever, and they built some wall when Obama was in office. They have gates that they can drive through. They can open and they can drive through. The idea is like mandating that the gates stay open. So you've got a section of wall, and you've got a gate, and the gate's open, and nobody's guarding the gate, and they can just walk through the gate. Because they want them to be able to come in. And then having to deal with that. And then, and you've got the state and the Biden administration fighting over, well, who has the right to the border? Well, it's the federal government's, it's the federal government, it's the U.S. government's job to defend the country, to protect the country, to secure the country. It's the job of the federal government. However, When the federal government does not do so, the state has the right to pick up the torch and to do it. But it's a big fight. It's a big fight. And the feds are using their energy trying to fight the states that are trying to secure their border. Because, Arizona is also trying to put up border wall and trying to do some stuff to secure the border. New Mexico, no. California, no. There are multiple states along the Mexican border. A couple of them are, more red than the other two. So, I mean, it's frustrating. 15 watching. Thank you, Uncle Al. So, yeah, eminent domain laws are complicated. That's true. Yeah. I think Holman would do a good job. I think he'll do a real good job, Holman. He cares, and I think he'll do a good job. I think the people that they're going to this coming week, they're going to start having the confirmation hearings, and they're going to start confirming. And then once the 20th comes, today's the 11th. We got another week or so. Once Biden is exited and Trump is able to come in, and first day he's going to have a bunch of executive orders that he's going to slap down. And Biden, as he's going out, he's making executive orders. His people are putting together executive orders, which he's signing, that basically cuts our throat. And then Trump is going to have to do executive orders that basically repeal his executive orders. And then some of that crap's going to have to go to court. And then and then you've got to go through the bureaucracy of the courts for some crap. I mean, it is what it is. It's a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. So please, if you would like to support the channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. I worry. I really do worry about the future, because you've got a generation, and you've got generations that have come up. Back in the days, the World War II generation, the greatest generation, the boomers, had kids. And for whatever reason, some of their kids they basically embraced a counterculture. There were a certain number of people who fought the Vietnam War, that we were over there, that we were fighting over there. And I mean, I can't blame them in that regard. But, a lot of these people weren't too bright. So you had soldiers returning that had been drafted because they had the draft. They didn't want to go over there. And then you had soldiers that were returning. And, and we had I think something like 54,000 casualties. Don't quote me. But we had a lot of casualties in the Vietnam War, we had, I think, over 500,000 troops over in Vietnam, in that area of the world. We had allies that were with us, but they weren't contributing near the troops that we were contributing, and they lost the French and the British and whatnot. And when our troops would come home, they'd serve a tour, or a certain amount of time, then they'd come home, and you'd have people protesting, wanting to spit on them, call them baby killers and Nazis and all sorts of stuff. And they weren't any of that. They hadn't wanted to be over there, but they had to go. And then they were being treated by crap by the hippies, you know, and that wasn't right. So, these pot smoking, drug using, counterculture types, and they had kids. They're having kids. So their kids were the kids of the 80s and the 90s, and that's another generation. And when you have these super liberal socialist tendencies types, hardcore left, and then they're doing, they're coming into positions and they're doing stuff and they're in academia and they're teaching and they're, professors and such, and then they're spewing their crap, basically socialism, and then they're affecting kids, a lot of kids, and then you get another generation. You've had several generations, so the numbers of dysfunctional people with dysfunctional ideas is increasing to the point where it's almost half the population. If you look at the election, yeah, he was. McNamara was. That's right. Butterflies. There was a saying, a butterfly's wings, the wings of a butterfly flapping, that small amount of flapping would turn into a storm on the other side of the world. That was one of those philosophy things that they would say. That's one of the things that they would say. So, Hitler Part 2. Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people didn't. I mean, I put in over 30 years in education, retired. I'm back, my second year back. And, I deal with parents, some of the parents I deal with. And you got dysfunctional kids. And then when you meet the parent, you know why the kid's dysfunctional. You know. And, you can't reason with them. 20 years ago, when I moved here to Victoria, I had been a special education director in a smaller district in Corpus, 3A school district. And you had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5A, you know. And I was in a 3A school district. And I was a special education director. And when I moved here, I took a step down from being a special education director and I was an assistant principal at a middle school. And I did, and we had over 1,000 kids at the school. And I did the majority of the discipline. There was another assistant principal and the principal, but I took care of most of the. I was the law and order in the district on the campus. I was the one that if we needed to go to court, with kids because of their attendance and take the parent to court, I was the guy that did that. And I did the majority of the. I did the majority of the referrals, dealing with referrals and such. And I would deal with kids that were having problems, and some of these, I mean, back before woke, when woke was back before woke was woke, but it was woke. I would deal with parents of like a kid that's being bullied, and he'd been homeschooled, and now he's in school and he's being bullied. And it's like, well, he brings a lot of it on himself, the way he behaves, things that he says, things he would do. And no, nobody should be bullied. But I mean, it's like there are people who are bully magnets. And the parents told me, well, we haven't brought him up to comply with societal norms. So you have these liberal woke socialist parents who basically are raising a kid to believe in their dysfunctional beliefs, and they purposely, well, we didn't raise him to have normal beliefs, to comply with what society expects you to, it's like, so basically you've got a kid who's socially maladjusted. He's adjusted to his environment, but he's not adjusted to the to expectations of society. Like, well, we gotta follow these rules, and we've got to follow these laws, and this is how we behave, and this is what's expected of us. And then, well, child wasn't raised to do that. Okay, well, and you want to know why he's having problems? You think everybody else is supposed to adapt to his, you know? That's true. It's tough if you're stupid. Well, I mean, look at the election. Trump won 52% of the vote, a little over 52% of the vote, 52.5% of the vote. Well, I mean, shit. You still had 70 sub odd billion people voted for Kamala Harris. Right at half the population voted for her. Look at the crap that they're putting out. Look at their, and then if you look at where did their support come from, the big cities. If you look at a map of how counties voted, okay, so in 2020, Donald Trump, who lost the election supposedly by 10 or 12 million votes, 75% of the counties in the country the majority voted in support of Donald Trump. He won over 75% of the counties. But he lost the big cities, the big blue cities, you know, the huge blue cities with the overwhelming part of the population. He won all those rural areas and all those smaller places and all the smaller towns and all the people with the old school traditional values. He won all those places. He did in this election. You know, I think this election he won like 90% of the counties. 90%. But all of Kamala Harris's support, the bulk of it, if you look at the map of how it voted, like California, all along the ocean, all that blue area along the ocean with the big cities, that's where Harris won. If you go interior to that, it's pretty much red. You know, and in California, Harris got 2/3 of the vote. Trump got about a third of the vote. So 2/3 of the population of California are pretty liberal. 1/3's pretty conservative. You know, and people are moving out of California. Money's moving out of California. Elon Musk is moving his companies out of California. There are other corporations that have moved out of California. And you think, okay, well, you've got this corporation, where Musk has got 12,000 people who are making $100,000 a year or more, and he moves it out. And if they want to keep their jobs, they got to move where he moves them to Texas. So, in other words, uh, like San Francisco lost 12,000 people that were making $100,000 to $150,000 a year. They just lost 12,000 more. Now, San Francisco is a huge city, But you think their tax base, their government can take those kind of blows where those people pay taxes and they pay a lot of tax, you know. Yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way it is, Stephanie. Yep, that's the way it is. Yeah, yeah. It did seem like it did seem like the Bushes were not happy with Trump, and Mike Pence's wife was not happy with Trump. I mean, he shook hands with Mike Pence. You know, uh, possibility Mike Pence could have been vice president again, but he, you know, he did what he did, and you know, Donald Trump rewards loyalty. You know, everybody would, is going to reward loyalty. If I've got employees and they're loyal to me and they're supportive and they take care of business and they help me, yeah, of course I'm gonna, it's like, of course I'm gonna be on their side and of course I'm gonna take care of them. Am I going to take care of the ones that don't take care of business? No. You know, the other thing I've repeatedly said and I've told people, I've told young people, um, if you're in business and you're in a service business like a restaurant or whatever, you cannot afford to offend half your customer base. If you are a restaurant, you're there to provide the service of food and drink. You're there to make money. Are you going, if you have any common sense, are you going to want to offend half of your customer base? Because, well, I don't want those horrible Republicans in there, or I don't want those liberal Democrats in there. As long as they're not causing trouble, as long as they're basically there to eat and enjoy themselves and not cause any trouble, and they're not like running around naked, and causing a big disturbance, don't worry about them. You know, take care of them, feed them, let them pay you, make your money. But you can't afford to alienate half your customer base. Uh, Bud Light got a bunch of people upset. To this day, a lot of people won't drink Bud Light because of all the woke um, crap that they did with the cross dresser and all that mess. Bud Light. A lot of people boycotting Bud Light. They went way down. The the people who were drinking it went. A lot of them went over to something else, and they're still drinking something else. You know, and Bud Light sort of doubled down. Budweiser doubled down on that, and they would not back off, and they would not apologize. And then the owner, or the big stockholder, whose parents had you know been there from the beginning with that, he said some stuff. You know, I think there were some mistakes made, and I'm sorry those mistakes were made. You know, but trying to get them to back off and trying to admit it and to try to to where they could stop the hemorrhaging. But and then the other thing I will say about that is you look at companies. George Lucas owned Industrial Light and Star Wars, and he sold Industrial Light, and he sold Star Wars to Disney 20 years ago, probably. I think it's been about 20 years ago. And he sold it for like $4 billion. Think about $4 billion, you know. So, billionaire. And he was already a billionaire, but I mean cash billionaire or stock billionaire, where he got, and he gave up control, you know. So they started doing stuff that really hurt Star Wars. As far as, that third trilogy and a lot of the stuff that they've done since then, even Disney, like a lot of their animated stuff and a lot of their rebranding and stuff, it's just offending people. And a lot of people are boycotting, like they don't watch Disney, they don't pay for Disney, they won't go to Disneyland or Disney World. Disney got in a fight with the state of Florida, and they lost their tax status. Just stupid decisions made. And now they had a stock fight trying to take over, trying to get seats to try to change things, and they just doubled down all this woke crap that they're promoting, and it's hurting them. And Disney lost $200 billion worth of value. Stupid decisions. Stupid decisions. Please, if you would like to support the channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. But and I'm talking about stuff that's true. I'm not saying anything. On God's eyes, I'm not trying to cause trouble. I'm not trying to say things to hurt anybody's feelings, but it's the truth. At least from my perspective of the truth. I'm trying to be as honest as I can. It's like my perspective of the truth, which a lot of people share. It's the reason why they're having problems. And well, and I'll also say this: you sort of notice that the people who should be having children are not having that many children. The people who shouldn't be having children are having lots of children. Think about that. So, I'll give you an example. You grow up, you go to school. Maybe you went to prep school, maybe you went to public school, you went and you got your education, you went out and got a job, maybe you're married, maybe you're not married, but maybe you're married and you had 1 or 2 kids. And you have other people, they grew up, maybe their situation wasn't the same as yours, maybe it was better, maybe it was worse. For whatever reason, their socialization's not the same as yours or mine. They don't see things the same way that we do or that I do. Their belief system's different. They have kids. They have more kids. Their kids are having kids. And their kids are having kids. And they're becoming a larger portion of the population. And they're voting. And the people that they're putting in office and the people that are supporting them, that they support, are changing the laws. And not necessarily for the better. And in some places, there's more of them. So when there's an election or when there's a vote, they win the vote, so they get it their way. And it would be the equivalent of like, okay, I go and I get paid, and I go cash my check, and three or four people who don't work come up and accost me, and they take my money. They rob you. You're being robbed. But likewise, you work and you vote, and three or four people who don't work or who get government assistance or that just for whatever, they vote and they outvote you. So then the people that they put into office vote higher taxes, vote higher property taxes, income taxes, state taxes, city taxes, and they're basically using their numbers to basically pick your pocket because they outnumber you. And that's the way the system's set up. So there are places where everything just sucks because of who's running things. Because those people are having more kids. And they're teaching their kids, or they're not teaching their kids, and their kids, they got their hands out. So, hey, well, I'm going to vote for somebody who's going to give me freebies, all the giveaways and everything. And that's what you're living with, you know. Just times are changing, things are changing. Hopefully, um, some of that will be something that will come back. Enough people got upset. Things were bad enough that they voted. Some of these people, they didn't vote because they're Republicans or because they're MAGA or because of whatever. They're voting because they see how bad things were with the Democrats. And they could very easily, the next election, if things get better, oh, well, I'll go ahead and I'll vote the liberal way because I've always voted liberal. But now that things are getting a little bit better, I'll go ahead and vote liberal again. And then you want to know why things will go back to the way they were, you know, because of voting liberal. Um, Traditionally my family was Democrats. They hardworking, blue collar, farmers, ranchers, oil field workers, whatever, and teachers or whatever. And they voted Southern Democrat when the Southern Democrats were a lot more moral and they didn't believe in all the woke crap. And you didn't have laws where you had men marrying men and women marrying women and all this cross dressing people could go into the ladies' room or whatever. All this ultra BS. And I'm sorry if you feel like that, but all down through history, things have been the way that they've been. And all of a sudden, the last 25 or 30 years, you want to flip everything upside down. You want to know why things are the way they are. You know. So my thing is, and I've always been, what you do is your business, as long as it doesn't affect me. If it affects me, then it's my business. You know. And but and I'm sure that probably offends some people, and I hope it doesn't offend anybody who's on my channel right now. I hope that doesn't get me any complaints. But it's my I'm telling you my beliefs. What I believe and my faith. I have faith. Every day I wake up, I thank God for the day. I say the Lord's Prayer. That's me. I try to treat people the way I want to be treated. And thank you, Uncle Al. You take care. So I will try to be back tomorrow for another edition of Coffee Talk. If you haven't had a chance to, I did release about a 4-minute Coffee Talk News #2, my second one. If you can go by, listen to it, leave a comment. It's only 4 minutes long. Leave me a like, please. I put up 2 or 3 shorts every day. If you could like those shorts, I'd appreciate it. I try to give back. I'm trying to support, and I'm going to be trying to give more support to the people who come in here to support me, because I know you've got channels too, and I will try to support you. And some I did today. I did give some support today. Didn't give everybody support today, but I gave some people support today. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Show your home training. You want to honor your parents who are no longer here. Show your home training. Honor their memory. And I thank you for being here. And hopefully everybody has a good day tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday. Weekend time. Hope you're warm. Hope you're safe. My prayers go out to you, everybody. Please have a blessed day. And I appreciate you being here. Bye-bye. Night.